Okay, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Cyprian Ashu Besong. Yeah, UEFA and professional coach. Yeah, with long years experience in football, both in Europe and in Africa.
Now, I've known you quite a long time. You have been involved as the former coach of South Sudan. What have you been doing since you were coaching them? When did you finish with South Sudan?
My contract with South Sudan finishes. That was in September 2021. Yeah, I took a few months break after that, just to analyze our work, refresh myself, think what we could have done better and how we could yeah, look into the future. So I went to Cameroon to watch the African Nations Cup, which was very, very exciting. So after that, I came back to England, and I thought to myself, okay, you've got some months off, you've had enough rest, you could start looking, trying to get back into a coaching job or a new challenge. Since then, I've been trying to, I've spoken to few federations, few clubs in Africa, especially in East Africa, which I'm still doing, but up to now, I'm still looking for the new challenge.
Well, it's kind of surprising as I've known you, as I said, quite a while. You were involved as the under-20 coach of Cameroon. You've now added South Sudan to that. How come you're not in football? This is a year now since you finished at South Sudan.
I could say also my first priority has always been for a couple of years now is to coach in Africa, to try to develop football in Africa. In England, I've had few coaching opportunities, but I didn't really want to tie myself down because they were all in youth development, reserve teams, which I thought if I get a club or a national team in Africa, I could do more. I could, with the knowledge that I've gained, I could put that knowledge in place. I could develop things. I could probably go ahead on what we did in South Sudan, because when we went to South Sudan, there was basically no structure, nothing, and we have to put things in place. Some way try by errors, which works out. I think with that experience, if I go to a new environment, especially in Africa, I could do more. I could develop the institution, the environment, the players, and everyone around. So I see myself. I think Africa needs me, and that is why I've tried to be patient to get a challenge in Africa.
Well, you introduced me to Engin Firhat, and he managed to get a gig with the Kenya Football Association. He coached them for a while. He's nowhere near the same level that you're at. How did that make you feel?
Those things, if you look back, okay, Engin is Firhat is a very good friend of mine, which we know ourselves very well. I quite remember before he got that job, we did have a chat. He did give me a call. I was even surprised. He did ask me certain things about the environment and everything, and I did explain. Everything to him. If I look back, because I did talk to a few members of that federation, yeah, and the response that I get from most of them was, we won't be able to get to appoint someone, say, of your color in this environment, because probably the farms or the population, they won't be they won't welcome that. So they made it clear that they prefer to go to, for a European. But what I mean a European, I mean a white European, which those things, when we look back, we have to accept. And even though it's a little bit sad, where we fight for more than 15 years about trying to get that equality here in England. I remember we start all those we start those charity to get everyone involved years back, with you and with Bush. But when you go back to Africa, you see same thing, and they even throw it onto you. It was sad, but that is the reality. You have to accept it and move on and try to look somewhere else. So I think even after Kenya, there were other clubs, other countries, which you can't really go on and naming them. But that is what happened. And that is the situation that we are.
So let me get this straight. You are saying that there are certain clubs and federations in Africa that will not employ you, not because of your football abilities not being up to the highest level, but because of the color of your skin and the fact that you are European based with that color skin. So if you were African based, would the same thing be happening to you if you were in Africa, born and bred? I mean,
if I were in Africa, it's, let's put it this way. If I'm coming from a different African country, they will never, even if you are highly qualified, they will never appoint you. They will never give you that position. If you are from that country, okay. Like in Cameroon, if I'm from Cameroon, okay, they will appoint you as a national team head coach, because of your qualification, because of your knowledge. But the way they make it clear, if you're coming from a different African country, they won't employ you. And that is the case, especially in East Africa.
When you say East Africa, are you just talking about CECAFA countries or the ones bordering CECAFA countries as well?
I think East Africa as a whole, the majority of the East African countries. Yeah. I remember once Tanzania did appointed the former Nigerian national team player.
Amanike.
Yeah. You see, they did give him a chance, and he did well. Yeah. But apart from that, you don't see any. Yeah. And I've spoken to most of the federation in East Africa, and similar response I get from them. which it has nothing to do with my level of qualification or my knowledge, and because some of those coaches that they appoint, we got same qualification. I'm more knowledgeable than some of them. I think I could do more better job because I understand the environment, the culture. Yeah.
Right. I don't know exactly how to ask you this because I don't want to put you in an awkward position. But which countries and clubs have you included in your attempts to find work in Africa?
I think I've spoken to most of the East African Federation, from from Rwanda to Zambia. Yeah, I've had a chat with them. Most of the big clubs, for example, like Go Maya, before they appointed the former Ugandan head coach. Yeah, I did have a chat with them. Yeah. And I remember when I was with South Sudan, I did play against Uganda. We played twice. They beat us once. We beat them once also. Yeah. But you could see how things works in Africa. We both lost our job. But he could get the head coach job with Go Maya very easily. Yeah.
Now, Gomaya in particular had this problem because of the issues within the Kenyan Federation, the Kenyan government, and FIFA. So they weren't even playing football. How is it they are not looking at, well, we need a decent coach and we need them now, we need the best available that we can get, and that your name doesn't come up in that?
Those are some of the questions every loving football fan will ask, because I think, especially with the work that I did with South Sudan, and even before South Sudan, I did a great job with Cameroon with the under 20s, where I could take a step back. I could witness Cameroon, four of my players going to play for the World Cup. That was just 2018. So 4 years later on, those players are playing the World Cup, which is a great achievement. So,
Which players are they? Sorry to interrupt you. The four you just mentioned, who are they? What's their names?
we got Umgwet. Yeah, we got Hongla Martin. Yeah, we got Bazo Olivier, and we got Ntolu, who is the left back. So four of them.
Do you speak to Besong about these players, and did you recommend any since he took over as the national coach of Cameroon?
No, Rigo knows very well about it, and when I was under 20 national team coach, Rigo was with the local national team. He was head coach of the local national team, and I think after that with the under 23s, which from the under 20s, he did call some of those players with the under 23s. So he knows.
How do you feel about a situation like Paul Put? He is a European coach. He was involved in a match fixing scandal in Belgium, cannot get a job with the Belgian FA, and no Belgian club will employ him, but he finds work all over Africa. How do you feel about this?
The thing is, you feel let down by by your own continent. Yeah. Because those appointing, those making those decisions, they don't really look into the background. And even if they look into the backgrounds of those there that they're about to appoint, they don't really understand. And that is the case because they look into the CV of those coaches. Most of those committees members, they don't even understand where that coach, what club, what level, what is does that coach even have criminal record back home? Nobody check about that. No one is interested about that. Most of them, what they are interested is, okay, this coach come and sit with us. We're going to give you that your 2 years contract. What formation are you going to play? That is what they will ask that coach. What formation? What has formation has to do with when you are appointing a coach? Yeah. A national team coach comes in. Yeah. He will build that formation on the quality and the players that he got. Yeah. But that is how it goes in Africa. No one check if those coaches got criminal record background or what have they done in their home countries. Yeah.
Well, interesting that you mentioned that because in that particular case, Paul Put, it actually went to the Belgian courts as well. And he got a sentence suspended, but he was convicted in relation to this match fixing scandal. It came much later, but it has happened. And you look at this and sort of say, well, how's he getting work in Africa? Since then, at least since the criminal case, he's had work with the National Federation of Guinea, and he has also been employed, a current employee with the Republic of Congo, the former French colony. How do you feel about this going on, that the African federations surely must know this? And in this particular case, the Guinean Federation sacked him, banned him for life, and then FIFA and CAS overturned it so that he's allowed to. Now, some people are saying that it's because he had allegedly served his punishment for the match fixing, but the Guinean Federation seemed to be saying something else. They had a different problem with him.
No, the thing is, if I, as an African, of African background, if I have a criminal record, where I did something in Africa, most clubs, most countries in Africa, they will never give me that chance. Even now, without a criminal record, with good knowledge in coaching, good background in coaching, they still don't give us that chance. So if I had a criminal record, would they give me that chance? The answer is no. They won't even. Yeah. Same thing here in Europe. If you have a criminal record, the chances of a club appointing you is very slim.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the point. Yeah. If you actually look at Paul Put himself, he cannot get work in his own country, i.e. Belgium.
No, the chances are very slim of him getting work in Belgium. Mm-hmm. Even though he has saved probably he has saved his time, but the chances are very slim because he got a criminal background.
There are some coaches who have got jobs, and despite having these jobs, they're applying for other jobs. Should that be tolerated?
I think that is lack of professionalism and lack of respect to the institution or to your present employer. When you are in a job, you shouldn't be applying for another job. it doesn't make any sense. Okay, you might have cases where another employer could approach you through your employer, through your present employer. They give you the right now to speak to the new club or new federation. That is acceptable, but you can be in a job and be applying for another job. It's lack of respect to your present employer, lack of respect. If it's with the national team, it's lack of respect to the country, to the people, which it shouldn't be tolerated.
And if it was a case of, another job has become, vacant, they haven't advertised for candidates yet, but you contact them and say, I'm interested in the job, should that be tolerated?
No, it shouldn't. Where if you are in a job, it shouldn't happen. There's lack of professionalism.
What should the existing employer be able to do about that? Should you be able to say, well, if that's your attitude, get out?
No, I think the employer has all the right to terminate your contract without, because it's a gross misconduct.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
It's a
if
gross
a coach, just to clarify this, if a coach was the head coach of a national federation, he finds out there's a vacancy in another country with another national team at a higher level, let's say, and they haven't advertised the job, they haven't contacted him, and he unilaterally asks them to consider his CV, how should that be dealt with?
That is a gross misconduct. Yeah, the present federation has to terminate that coach contract. Yeah, that is how the discipline has to. Because immediately as a professional coach, you start talking with new employers. You start looking somewhere else. You are no more there 100%.
Would it surprise you to learn that the coach that did that is the current coach of the Republic of Congo, Paul Put, and that he did that to the Zambian Federation and they were not interested in him?
Yeah, then the thing is, I think he got that job just a few months ago, not so. If I could look back, I think he got that job. It's not even up to 4 months. It should be 4 or 5 months.
I think he may have been in the post a bit longer, but the point is that he has actually contacted the Zambian Federation, sending them his CV before they advertised that they were looking for people. You have to advertise it and sort of make it clear that people can apply, and then you consider whether you want it. He actually contacted them before they had opened it up.
No, I think that is unacceptable. Yeah, Congo, they shouldn't accept that. It's gross misconduct and it's lack of respect for the people, for the federation, yeah, for the institution. Yeah.
Now, let's say it had been a black coach that had done that. Would they have survived?
I think they will terminate the black coach contract. Yeah, that is what will happen. There'll be a lot of criticism and yeah.
Now, you've mentioned, if I have it correct, that you feel you have been sidelined because you are not a local black man, for want of a better way of putting it. I mean, but you can apply in Cameroon, you'll be considered. You can maybe get one or two odd opportunities in Africa, but as a whole, you won't get looked at because you are not from that country. And worse than that, you're based in Europe, but black.
Yes, that you got it right. It's not just that I'm based in Europe. They don't so much look when I'm based in Europe or in Africa. It They look more into the color of my skin because I'm black. I'm not from that country.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's difficult for them to appoint me because probably the fans or uh, those in charge of those clubs, they don't want, they will not be happy working with someone like me.
Okay, but you've mentioned that you think it's to do partly with you don't get opportunities outside of the country of your origin. Pitso Mosimani managed to secure work with not just any club, but one of the best in Africa, if not the best, in Al Ahly when he left South Africa. Do you think he would have any problems getting shortlisted for jobs if he wanted them?
I think with Pete Sumani, before him going out of South Africa, he he did a lot of good work with clubs in South Africa. Yeah, he was, I think, almost every year with in CAF competitions. So most almost every African clubs knew about him. Yeah. But it took time, and you could see when he left South Africa, he went to Egypt. I haven't said they don't give chances, one or two, yeah, but it's very, it's just a small group. It's probably 5% of African coaches.
Now, there has been some suggestion that the reason Pizzo left Al Ahly was because he wasn't fully accepted by Egyptian fans of Al Ahly. I'm not commenting on whether that's true or not, but there was certainly that perception. Do you find that is a perception that you would see all over Africa as well? And it would be even worse if it's happening to Pizzo, that it will be happening much worse to those who don't have his name and his resume.
Uh, I could agree with you because it's very common. And Africa at this moment, they haven't got to that point that to believe and to accept that their own could also be good or even far better than what they are bringing from Europe, which it might take time, but I hope one day they will realize that they are also blessed with good coaches.
There's another example from a lot earlier, which is the most successful coach in the history of the Africa Cup of Nations. You could say it's joint because only two of them have won it 3 times, but he won it 3 times in a row, which is unprecedented and probably will never happen again. I'm talking about Hassan Shahata. Now,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
does not get the recognition even within Africa. I mean, in football circles, you
yes.
can't say you don't respect Hassan Shahata in Africa because, people will look at you and say, are you crazy? But look at the work that Hassan Shahata has got after that Egypt job. And it is not fitting for a coach of that standing. And there's another example in that he badly wanted to go and coach the World Cup. He and Nigeria were looking at him, but they went for the Swede, Lars Lagerbäck. Now, that's not saying Lagerbach is not a good coach. He is a good coach. But what did he know about African football? What did he know about Nigerian football? How could he compare to Shehata at that stage in their careers?
Yeah, it just goes back to those decision makers, Satish, because I think they are the big problem in African football. Yeah, because they are the one calling the shot. They are the one making those decisions. Who to bring in, who to hire, what resources to put in. Yeah. Let's just take example with Samuel Eto'o.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cameroon could have brought whatever European coach they wish to get. But what did he do? He decided to go with home-based coach, with Rico Besong. It's not like Rico is the best coach that Cameroon got. There are better coaches than Rico. But he stick with Rico because he knows the goal that they got in front of them. Yeah, he knows with Rico they will be able to achieve those goals. Yeah. And because of his leadership, he has put a lot of money in Cameroon football, where even the leagues, the Cameroon local leagues, they are just booming now. You go to the stadium, you get about 27,000 spectators. Where before you don't get that. Before you get probably 500 or 1,000 spectators in the stadium. Yeah. So it goes back to decision makers, those that make those decisions.
One of the things with that, you've mentioned Samuel Eto'o and Rigobert Song. His assistant, or at least one of the assistants, is Sebastien Mignet, a Frenchman who has coached. He's got some experience within Africa. Did you know he applied for the Zambia job and was shortlisted in the top 10, in the final 10?
I read about that. I think it goes back. That is, I asked myself, you are the assistant coach of Cameroon. Cameroon is one of the powerhouse of football in Africa. Everyone knows Cameroon all over the world. It's one of the powerhouse, even in world football. You are the assistant coach. You are going to the World Cup. Why should you be? For me, that is greediness, or we call it that greediness or foolishness. How can you are going to the World Cup, which is the pinnacle of football, and you are going to apply to be the head coach of Zambia? It doesn't make any sense.
Sorry,
It doesn't
just
make
a
any
sec.
sense.
Yeah. Okay.
So when I saw it, and I thought, is this really true? Did he really apply for that job, or someone just put down his name? Those are
No,
questions that
he has applied. He was actually, as far as I'm aware, he was one of those who was shortlisted in the top 10 and was interviewed for the Zambia job.
Yeah, I think in that case, Samuel Eto'o has to set in some discipline, because there is totally lack of discipline, lack of respect to the people of Cameroon.
Do people in Cameroon know this has happened?
I remember I read through some of the Cameroon newspapers the first time I saw it. So I think they should be aware. Yeah.
But it hasn't been highlighted in Cameroon that the assistant coach applied for the job in the vacant job in Zambia and was shortlisted, and I believe he was interviewed about it. He certainly is in the top 10. There's absolutely no question he was one of the 10. Well, it became 11 because they extended it for Gernot Raw, but he's not attached to anyone, so it's perfectly fair enough that he can Gernot Rohr can apply.
I don't think the Federation, Cameroon Federation, knows about that because someone has to tell someone. I don't think he knows about that. Probably the journalists do bring that up.
Who do you suggest should tell them? I mean, I'm telling you for a fact this has happened. There is no doubt he was in the top 10
I think
of the 10 that were considered for the job. Well, 11 if you count Gernot Rohr as well.
Yeah, I think the journalists, they will bring that up somewhere. One day they'll bring that up. Yeah. I think probably if they haven't brought that up, because they are just keeping things a little bit underneath, so the team should carry on with the preparation for the World Cup.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you next, which is if this came out, would it affect Cameroon's preparations for the World Cup?
Yeah, I think it's going to affect every time preparing for a major tournament, and you have to let go one of the coaching staff or technical team. Yeah, it always bring a little bit of disruption. Yeah, why not? I think they will feel the effect. He was the assistant coach, which means he had a lot of responsibilities also.
What do you think should be done about this? Should it wait until after the World Cup, or should they just deal with it now?
I think they should be patient and wait after the World Cup and see how things goes during the World Cup. Yeah, and then the president could either decide either to terminate his contract even while the World Cup is going on. If we have a good World Cup, yeah, you might let that go. You might put that under the carpet. But if things are not going in the right direction, then yeah.
If you had done that as coach of South Sudan, that you had seen there was another job offered or was available, and you had applied for it, what would you expect the South Sudan Federation to do about it?
In my case, I don't think I will ever even have an idea of doing such things. I don't see myself yet in a job. If I don't enjoy my present job, if I'm not happy, yeah, I'll sit down with my employer. Yeah, we speak face to face. We try to get a compromise, and yeah, it's better I leave that job and then start looking for another job. I don't see myself being in a job and then applying for other jobs. No, it's not my thing.
With the information you have provided today about why you think you're not getting shortlisted and your experiences of it, what do you want to see CAF do to protect up and coming Black coaches, African coaches like yourself?
I think there's very little CAF could do in that domain because I could see, okay, if you look back the past 10 years, CAF has done enough by improving the coaching education and in Africa, which is already good, which means we got good coaches in Africa. CAF could just probably try to I can't say put rules or regulations that no, because employing a coach is left to individual federations, individual clubs. They decide who they want to employ. So it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one for. Except CAF could bring in certain rules that at least in every coaching position, at least they should be able to interview. Yeah, if there are 3 candidates, we should at least get at least 1 or 2 candidates should be black.
Have you ever heard of a thing called the Rooney Rule?
Yeah, we got it here in England.
Right. Do you think that is the solution, that you should have a Rooney Rule for all appointments within African football, at a coaching level?
I think that could help. That could help. Yeah, which means there is a quota that in every coaching position you must at least have this number of black coaches. I think that could help.
But the problem with that, given your experience, is that the clubs and the countries could say, but we are adopting the Rooney Rule. We are giving opportunities to black coaches. It's just they happen to be all in our country. We don't give opportunities to coaches from outside of our country. So would it even help you if they had a Rooney Rule?
If it just okay, look at it. Look the case of Zambia. Yeah, they got 10 shortlisted. How many are blacks? 2.
Mm-hmm.
What does that tells us? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a job opportunity in Africa. Yeah. And you got just 2 black coaches shortlisted in 10, not even half, not even 50%.
Both of them were Zambians, and they're now in the top 3. It's said to be between those 2 and Abraham Grant for the top job. But my point is, let's say you have a Rooney Rule. Take the Zambian example for a moment. The Zambian FA would be able to say, what are you complaining about? We have given opportunities to black coaches, but they're Zambians. That's our choice. We want the Zambian, we want them. We can justify it by saying, if anybody is going to know Zambian football, it's going to be the Zambian coaches. So we have every right to focus on them. And if you have the Rooney Rule, they would be able to say, well, here you are. Black, we are giving opportunities to black people. What are you complaining about?
No, I think with the Rooney rules, so far they meet that number of blacks that should be interviewed for that job opportunity. That is okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one is going to complain. Don't forget, this job opportunity, they are mostly in Africa. Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least you should get at least 60% of those interviewing those jobs Africans. That is how it's supposed to. You should get at least 60%. We don't say 100% or 80%, but at least 60% should be African coaches. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mind if they are coming from Chad, from South Africa, from Morocco, from Egypt, but at least 60% should be African coaches. I think that will pave a way, and that will give more opportunities. Yeah.
You mentioned coach education earlier. Isn't that part of the problem, that coach education schemes haven't fully developed the young African talent to give them the opportunities to apply for these jobs?
I don't think so. I think CAF has been doing tremendous, brilliant coaching education the last 5, 7 years. Things have really changed in Africa. They've built up, you got coaches, most of the coaches with CAF A, even CAF Pro license, now in Africa. And then add onto that, you got a lot of ex-professional players from Europe with good coaching background. I give you an example. You got when you have someone like Kolo Toure. He's the assistant coach of Leicester City. If he wants to get a job in Africa now, no one is going to give him that job. Because what I know from what I'm saying, because he would like to probably take a national team job in Africa. It's not easy for him to get those jobs. Yeah. He was hoping even to get like Ivory Coast job as a national team coach. But they'll put him aside and they'll still bring someone, a European, that is out of job here in Europe, can't even get into a third division club in Europe, and they will give that European the opportunity. That is the mentality that we need to eradicate from those decision makers in Africa.
Almost 15 years ago, I had an interview with the late, great Cecil Jones Atuquefe. And this is almost word for word what he was saying, that even he was finding difficulty getting jobs in Africa. This is a man who had won the African treble, who was one of the great players in Ghanaian football, and had shown that he had what it took as a coach, because he was the first to qualify Benin for the Africa Cup of Nations. But he was saying the conditions that he encountered as a coach was completely different to the way a white coach would be treated. From what you're saying, this seems to be a case of very little has changed at the top level.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Very, very little has changed. If let's look, for example, you got countries like Senegal, like Cameroon, where Senegal they stick with Aliou Cissé for almost 7 years. Yeah, because they did believe in their project. The decision makers, they believe that was the right way, and that has paid off. Because before then, Senegal was struggling. Senegal had so many European coaches. They were struggling. They were nowhere in African football.
Sorry, go on.
They had all. I remember they had all the top players playing in Europe by then, but they still struggle. But from since time, everything has been organized. The discipline is there. You could see it's someone he understands the culture, the environment. The results are there.
To sum up, you've been out of football coaching and management for a year now. What do you want to see done so that coaches like you don't get sort of cast on the scrap heap and ignored when you have and want to offer so much to African football?
I think those decision makers in Africa, they should understand that we have same qualifications, same knowledge. We even have that extra because we understand the environment and the culture and how things are. We've lived there, we've We've seen it, we've done it. Yeah. They need to give us that opportunity. Yeah. They need to give us that opportunity, and they need to support us. All what we're asking is at least get us even in the final list. Sit down with us. Yeah. Ask us same question you want to ask to those to the Europeans, and see if we could come up with good projects.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think I'm not. It's not like I'm complaining or no. I just want to see things changing for the better. Yeah. Not about me, but about the next generation, the future coaches, because we got a lot of young, talented coaches coming up in Africa. But we need to give them the chance. Yeah. If we don't give them those chances, how are they going to get better? We need to give them that opportunity. Yeah. And I think it will always be good for African football.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.